Hi everyone, it's Teresa Green and it's Mindful Monday. Today I wanted to talk about something that makes life a whole lot easier when you do it, and it's a part of the self-compassionate and compassionate self-care things that we talk about a lot, and it's about giving yourself margin. Now, in my coaching practice, I have three things that I talk about as sort of broad categories of ways to take care of yourself. It's create space, relish change, and celebrate authenticity. So the create space is what we're going to talk about today from a mindfulness standpoint. Relishing change is just giving yourself permission to move towards things that are different without assuming that there's going to be a lot of negatives to it. And then celebrating authenticity is letting yourself be you, letting yourself be the unique person that you are, enjoying the things you enjoy, not enjoying the things that you don't enjoy. And we'll talk about those some other time. But for the creating space, for the giving yourself margins, I wanted to talk about something that I'm going through right now and hope that maybe talking about how I handle it might help you come up with your own strategies to handle ways of giving yourself space in your own life. Now, in 2020, late 2020, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and I had chemo and I had a surgery, and I spent 2021 mostly recovering from that, and now in 2022, I am almost all better. But part of that almost is I have what's commonly called chemo brain. It's a side effect of the way the chemotherapy affects your body, and it gives you brain fog. So sometimes your brain, if it gets overwhelmed, my brain just kind of shuts down. In fact, this is the third time I've tried recording this Mindful Monday because I would start talking and I couldn't remember what I was talking about. I had an idea for Mindful Monday. I came and sat down, I started talking, and poof, the idea was gone. So I finally managed to kind of pull it back together a little bit. So here I am talking about space and having space in your life so that your brain and your nervous system don't get overwhelmed. Now, something else I've been doing, and this year I spent a lot of time working on a class called Applying Functional Medicine in Clinical Practice from the Institute for Functional Medicine. And that's an institute that has a lot of the people who are sort of the leaders in what's called functional medicine. It's a kind of medicine dealing with trying to find the cause of illness from a nutritional or a lifestyle standpoint and changing that for treating virtually any disease. One of the people that a lot of people have heard of, who's one of the big proponents of functional medicine and is actually on the faculty at the Institute for Functional Medicine and did one of the courses that I took, is Dr. Mark Hyman, and a lot of people have heard of him because he's written a lot of books. So I did this course kind of going into it expecting it not to be super challenging because the overall philosophy is pretty much identical to what we do in Chinese medicine, that if you bring the different systems of your body into balance, then your body works right. And so if you're having an illness, that means that your system's out of balance, and sort of putting those pieces back into place the way they're supposed to be so that they work together well is how to if not cure disease, which does happen quite a bit, at least to improve the symptoms of it. Now, Chinese medicine, we use different terms, we do use different explanations for how things work, but the philosophy's the same. Well, it turns out that functional medicine has the same philosophy, but a completely different viewpoint as far as how you do things. So they're much more they're completely Western's biology based, not Chinese medicine based, and they do a lot of much, finer, more detailed chemistry thoughts when it comes to figuring out how your body works the way it does. And so I really quickly realized that my still slightly chemo-addled brain was not able to put in the several hours a day of classes that I thought I would be able to do a few days a week to be able to finish the class in plenty of time, because this is a class that has a deadline and you have to finish all your coursework at by a certain time. And so I ended up having to change the way I did the class because my brain would get worn out and I just wasn't getting very much out of it. Now, this was very hard for me because I've been a student most of my life, and one of the things that I always excelled at, even when I didn't excel at a lot of social things or sports things, was classes. I could learn, I could give back answers on a test, I could process information, and I could use that information. I really enjoyed being in school and learning things, and even sometimes taking tests because I was pretty good at it. So taking these classes, I realized very quickly that after even maybe 45 minutes sometimes, that my brain just really needed a break. I really couldn't just hit the books hard because my brain wouldn't do that. And I had been doing some other things, some other kind of thought exercises at the same time that led me to do more than find out how much I could stand to do before I took a break. I decided to try to see how much I could enjoy doing and then take a break. And that's because, as some of the other Mindful Monday sessions I've talked to you about, how I have decided to do more enjoying life since I've had cancer. And realizing that as I enjoy life more, my body makes healthier chemicals and does a much better job of protecting itself from cancer and of any other illness as well. And it also is a lot more fun, but it also opens up my heart in a way, so I'm able to feel more grateful for the things that I have. I'm able to connect to other people with more empathy, because as I'm enjoying things, I don't have as many areas that I have to be very sensitive about feeling vulnerable, because enjoying things, there is a vulnerability to that. Letting yourself just wholeheartedly find something pleasant is actually a very vulnerable thing to do. So I decided to take this mindset, this idea of taking care of myself, of enjoying myself, and of not pushing myself to the point of where I'm just exhausted and despairing and something's a chore, and taking something that could be fun, sucking the fun right out of it by trying to force myself to do more than I can manage. So I decided to do things in about half-hour intervals. So I would watch about a half hour of a video, and if I had more, if their classes are video classes, if I had a little bit more than that in me, I would finish that one. But I wouldn't try to load up the next one right away to try to kind of slog them on top of each other to finish them faster. I would do that, and then I would take a break, and I would do something that had no really strong thinking component to it. I would go outside and garden, or I would clean something a little bit, or I would go for a walk, or I would give my brain a break. I would read, but I'd read for fun, so that my brain didn't feel like it had to, kind of really process a lot. There wasn't any pressure there. And I was very pleased and a little bit surprised still to find that I actually finished the class with the week to spare, when I was really concerned that I would be up really late trying to get to the end of that very definite deadline when I first started, because I was finding it very hard to process information. And so I wanted to invite you for Mindful Monday to first take into your mind the idea that it's okay to give yourself space, to create space in your life. And then for our mindfulness exercise part of Mindful Monday, I want you to sit and just imagine how that feels. How does it feel when you have plenty of space in physically to kind of stretch out and do things, but also plenty of space mentally and emotionally, where you don't feel like things are coming at you all the time, and you don't feel like you kind of have to dodge from one thing to the next, when you feel like you can sit. And I had a teacher years and years ago who talked about when you're trying to live your life and pay attention to something, or to act in the world in a way that allows you to use the power that you have, to picture yourself as if you're sitting on a throne, and everything that's going on outside of you, whether it's interactions with people or things you want to get done, or anything, whatever it is that's part of what's going on for you, to picture it as if you're on your throne, you are the ruler, because you are the ruler of your own life. And then picture either the people or the things that need to come as coming to you and asking your permission to do them, so that don't have to feel forced into things. So if your boss wants you to work late, picture your boss coming to your throne where you're way up high and your boss is down here, having to look up to you and asking you, petitioning you to work late with them. And that way you have time. You can sit on your throne with your hands beside you, and you can give yourself a moment to think and to tap into the wisdom of things that you know, because of your experience or your intuition or just your knowledge of your day and the other things that you've committed to, and make a choice for whether or not you will work for them or not. And when you come from that position, just the idea that you're the one who has the power over your life and your day, your body makes a whole different set of chemicals than when it feels like it's being forced into something. You had no choice, you had to do this or you had to do that. So the mindfulness idea of feeling like, what does a powerful feeling in this instance feel like, is a way to go through your life with a lot more calm. So let's sit for a moment and just picture that idea, that here you are, you're on your throne, and everything else in your life comes to you to request your participation, and you get to choose whether you give it or not. And see how that feels inside. How does it feel in your neck and shoulders, knowing that you can sit tall and you can make choices, that you're not cornered. You can make a choice about what you're going to do. How does it feel in your chest and in your heart to know that you can make choices, that you're not cornered, you aren't forced into things. You have a choice, you have the power, you have the ability to make your own decisions. How does it feel in your core, in your torso? How does it feel to sort of be able to stand sort of like Superman and be able to know that I have the force of will to be able to do the things that I want to do in the world? And keep going all the way down. How does it feel in your hips when you're able to sit calmly and make choices? How does it feel in your legs when you know that there's power there and that you can make your choices and that you can act and make things happen? And how does it feel all the way down to your feet and in your hands when you're able to sit and imagine yourself as the ruler of your life, and that when something comes to you, you get to choose what you do? And sort of embracing that feeling of being the one who gets to make the decisions about your life, is just a really wonderful and powerful feeling. Now, one of the other things that I've done as part of my mindfulness practice and my part of enjoying life more is I've started looking very closely at the words I use. I did a little bit of classes in neuro-linguistic programming, which is much harder to say than it is to put into practice. And they talk a lot about watching how you talk to yourself or how you talk about things and the words that you use. And so I decided to start eliminating certain phrases from my life, which again can be a mindfulness exercise because it changes the way you feel inside, and you can be mindful of how you feel when you use some words versus other words. So one of the things I've tried very hard to cut out of my life, and I'm still working on it, so I'm trying to remember, I may even in this video have slipped up and done the thing I'm not planning on doing anymore. I try not to say I work hard anymore, because I'm happy to work zealously, I'm happy to work energetically, I'm happy to work with purpose, I'm happy to work and put a lot of effort into it and a lot of enjoyment into it and a lot of spirit into it and a lot of good intention into it. But I just don't want to work hard anymore. Hard does not sound like the way to enjoy life. And it also doesn't sound like something where you're using your power. If you're working hard, that doesn't sound pleasant. If you're working with power or working with zeal or working with energy and intention, well, that sounds a lot nicer. And it still conveys the idea that you are really committing to something that means a lot to you and you're willing to put effort into. I've also tried to start minimizing my use of the conjunction, the word but, B-U-T. So I found that I had a habit of saying, it's raining outside, but I feel good anyway. So kind of always having to put things in sort of an adversarial position to each other. I want to go to the store, but I need to clean the house first, or something like that. And it ends up, there's sort of an implied negativity about that. At least there's for me. Now, if there isn't for you, don't worry about it. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm saying that for myself, this is what I'm doing. And so when I write in my journal, I'm trying to catch myself. And when I speak, I try to catch myself to say and instead of but. because that way I don't have two things as in an adversarial kind of position. I'm saying, okay, I can have things that can be together even though they're not the same. So it's raining outside and I feel great has a much different energy than it's raining outside but I feel great, even though both of those are trying to be positive statements. So I invite you, the next time that you have something that you would want to say and you want to put but in there, pause for a second and try saying it the other way. Try saying it with and. That's the only conjunction connector word I can think of right now to go with it, but try just substituting those and seeing how it feels. So I want to go to the store and I need to clean the house. Now suddenly, just in my mind, that opens up the possibility that maybe there's a way to do both and still have it meet my energy requirements, still have it meet my fun requirements, still have it meet my other obligations. Saying and is expansive and gives you a better way of looking for possibilities. So for today's Mindful Monday, we talked about giving yourself margin. We talked about not overdoing it. We talked about, instead of looking for what is the most that I can possibly do, to look at what is the most that I can enjoy doing and allowing your body to have all those positive chemicals of feeling in control. While we were thinking about this control issue, we thought about sitting in your own throne and imagining yourself there where you have a lot of power feelings and a lot of enjoyment feelings, where you get to be the one that makes the choices in your life, and that you can then feel more confident when you say something to somebody, that it's coming from a place of power instead of a place of feeling cornered or forced into something that you don't want to do. And finally, we talked about looking at the way you use your words, and when you find words like, for me, but, where you find you're making something into a either or, a all or nothing kind of construction with your sentence, to change that, to take that but or I don't know, my brain can't think of any other words. So but, where you're putting things that, I can do this or this, a but or something like that, to put and in there and see what happens. Or to take a phrase for a word that does not imply enjoyment, like working hard, and change it to something that may still imply a lot of effort or still suggest a lot of effort, but has a positive spin, like working zealously, or working with intention, or working with enjoyment, or working with a sense of success. So today's Mindful Monday was about approaching life from a place of enjoyment, joy, and power, instead of a place of have to and feeling small and feeling like you don't have choices, or all of your choices are all or nothing choices. So if you enjoyed this video, please click like for the video. Please feel free to hit subscribe so you'll be notified for any other videos that we have. And you can visit the website www.slowpathswellness to find out more about my practice. The practice includes Chinese medicine, which is acupuncture, Chinese herbology, and some Chinese lifestyle and mindfulness sort of tips. It also includes some functional medicine, and there'll be more and more as I kind of absorb and work with the things that I've learned over the past couple of months from the functional medicine standpoint. It includes specific mindfulness practices and mindfulness coaching, as well as health coaching in general and wellness coaching, so that you're able to view life in a way that makes it easier and more joyful for you. So have a wonderful week, and I will plan on seeing you next week for another Mindful Monday.